I was working in a grocery store a little bit more than 4 years ago.
I just actually felt depressed about it because I just thought like I had no direction. Actually, drinking, doing drugs, it's all about mindset, it's all about believing in yourself. To change my life, I have to change who I am. I have to change my thoughts, my being, my everything,
Where you are today, which you're actually, by American standards, a billionaire, correct?
Well, I had so much money that it was just like stupid money. I rarely talk about my investments. It's impossible for me to talk about 400. The world we've been put into is governed by money. You can like it or hate it, but you better play the game.
Welcome to the Crypto Megan podcast. I'm your host, Megan Nilsson. I'm a high-end crypto and NFT portfolio and Web3 strategy consultant. I'm currently on a world tour as a Web3 keynote speaker at all the biggest Web3, tech, and fintech events around the world as an industry leader to educate anyone from beginner to C-level executive, and of course, to advocate for women in Web3. My mission is to inspire new people to get involved in the crypto and NFT space with quality, entertaining information they can trust as pioneers in this cultural and financial revolution, a paradigm shift.
Communication in Web3 is highly fragmented and frustrating. Users have to check various channels to stay up to date with their digital assets, sifting through thousands of spam and notifications. This is why we created Ethermail, the first Web3 email solution.
My name is Megan Nilsson. Welcome to the Crypto Megan podcast. And today I have a really special guest with me in one of my favorite corners of the world. We're here in Dubai, where seemingly all the crypto magic happens. My guest today is Carl Runefelt. And it is going to be a fantastic episode. Carl, thank you for joining us. He has just the most incredible and inspiring story. So, Carl, let's jump right into this. The Moon. Your company is called The Moon. Your Twitter handle, I believe, is Carl from the Moon. Tell us a little bit about where that came from, where you're from, your background. I know you're Swedish. Let's start with your story.
Okay, so the story starts, like you said, way back in Sweden. I mean, it depends on how far back we go, but
I like to go deep, so
let's start maybe. I dropped out of school because I didn't feel like I fit into the normal lifestyle that people, or their life choices. Go to school and listen to the teachers and put things on papers. Like I was not able to do that. For many reasons. Number one, I have ADHD, so I have a hard time to concentrate on like things that I don't care much about, especially then schoolwork and paying attention for a long time, but also that combined with the fact that I didn't know why I was going to go to school or why I needed to go to school, because I didn't want to get a 9-to-5 job, or I didn't want to become a lawyer, or I didn't want to have, this normal
boxed
direction.
life.
Yeah, because it just seemed so boring somehow. I saw my parents, saw my friends' parents, everyone had these normal boring jobs. I wanted to do something more crazy and cooler, but I had no clue what to do. So instead of feeling motivated, I just actually felt depressed about it because I just thought I had no direction. So that was actually a very bad time of my life. I was hanging out with the wrong people. I was actually, drinking, doing drugs and bad things, it was just almost like a black hole where, it just a bad feedback loop of bad things. And then eventually when I felt like I really hit rock bottom somehow, I realized the only one who can change my life is myself. There's no one who's going to come to me and give me a solution or give me money or give me anything. It has to come from inside,
Yeah, and I want to stop you there for a minute because I think a lot of people don't realize when they see your level of success and where you're at now, they don't realize where that came from and where that started. They just assume that this is just some guy who got lucky or whatever it is they may think. But that's not luck. That's that real inner deep, like looking at yourself and accepting responsibility for where you're at in your life or whatever it is. And then like taking accountability for it. Like, hey, something's not right. I'm feeling a void, like you said. I think that a lot of people who got into crypto felt a similar way. I know I did. I had a void. And so you started looking for something that would kind of fill that void instead of the path that you were going on, right? And that's how this whole search or discovery process happened.
Yes, yeah, I felt like I needed to do something and I wanted to change my life. So I started to just research online. I started to try to listen to other successful people in terms of like audiobooks and YouTube videos, and just I tried to find information online from successful people, how they became successful. And when I did all of this research, it always came down to mindset. Most of them always say it's all about mindset. It's all about believing in yourself and believing that you can do things. And I also found like so much information about the universe and the law of attraction and how the universe works and how the law of attraction can be applied, because the law of attraction is actually a law of nature, just like you have gravity. So gravity, it's always there whether you believe in it or not. And I realized that law of attraction is also there. It doesn't matter if people believe it or not, it's always going to be there, and it can work for you or against you.
So when people say I'm lucky or I'm unlucky, instead it could be kind of like the vibe or the force or energy you're putting out into the universe, right? That's sometimes the way I feel with people. I mean, let's face it, some people do have unfortunate situations happen, but if the overall general sense is I'm always unlucky, maybe it's the energy or the force that you're putting out into the universe. It's something needs to change up here.
Yeah, you believe certain things and it becomes your reality. So basically you become what you believe. So it's very important to believe good things and not pay attention or put too much attention to negative things, whether it's true or not. Where attention goes, your energy will flow and your life will materialize as such. So then it's very important to understand that, instead of thinking about the past too much or thinking about the present all the time or thinking about the worst case scenario of the future, it's better to always just think long term, see yourself as a success in the future, and imagine the best case scenario and believe that it's going to happen. Believe that is your future. That's what I did. So I started to visualize and imagine the best case scenario. Basically me on jets and yachts and
And at what point in your life did this start materializing, these kind of manifestations?
Well, for sure not overnight, not even a few weeks, but it took many months, I would say, maybe even to a year, where I really started to see changes, which I can get into.
But where were you? Were you then at the job that everybody famously knows now? Or?
I was in the grocery store. So
you were at ICA.
Yeah,
right?
ICA, exactly.
Yeah.
So when I started ICA, the grocery store, I still didn't know about the law of attraction. I didn't know about anything. I just started that job to have, any income at all, because before then I didn't have. I was just really struggling. So I started there, but after like maybe 1 year in the grocery store, I started to realize that I was really stuck. Like I can't be stuck here.
Mm-hmm.
Like the longer I let this go on for, the bigger the risk is that this is going to be my life.
That's interesting. So
Yeah.
you literally thought that if I keep letting this go too far, I think about that sometimes too. At what point does that just become your reality, where it's so hard and you're so ingrained that it's hard to change, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I decided I need to make a decision. It has to be my decision. It cannot come from anyone else, I cannot ask people for help or ask, people ask me, now that I am successful, people write messages all the time to me like, hey, Carl, can you donate to me? Like, can you give me money? Carl, can you, people think that their future success lies in my hands or someone else's hands. And if you have that mindset, then you will never actually get it. Even if I send $1,000 to this person. Like, do you think it's going to change their life?
It sounds kind of like when they sent out the checks in the U.S. There were exactly $1,000, you know, during COVID and stuff, and it's like that doesn't fix anything. Though.
Exactly.
It's just a Band-Aid.
Yeah, at best. It really, at the very best. I mean, that's the thing. Like, it has to come from inside. It really has to. So sometimes I do actually give money to people, but it's for different reasons, and usually it's me then reaching out. So, for example, on Instagram sometimes, because my little brother, he's disabled. So
yeah, I've seen some videos with you and him, and that's actually really heartwarming to see. It's really touching.
Yeah, so I care a lot about like disabled children and the families surrounding them, because I know how much struggles it can be, because with my brother and the family has been insane. Like, he's been to hospital I think over 1,000 times. Wow. My parents involved as well. So,
and still you see him and he just seems so happy and so present when he's with you.
Yeah. Now he's happy, very happy. Yeah. That's true. But yeah, so with that background, it's just a side note. I mean, but then sometimes on Instagram, I follow these different tags with children with disabilities, different like severe disabilities, and sometimes I see family. They may be in US, could be anywhere else, like wherever in the world, and I see them have a disabled child, and I follow them, and sometimes I just DM them and say, hey, what's your PayPal, and I just send them like $1,000. You know.
That's amazing.
I don't think it's gonna change their life, but you know, they can buy a little bit extra something for their child or something.
You never know. Maybe they start to think differently. Maybe they start to think, hey, there's some possibilities here. At the right point, the right time in somebody's life, some nice gesture like that goes a really long way.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's just small things, you know. I also do bigger charity, which is like maybe more meaningful, but but people that just DM me and ask like, hey, Carl, I need $500. I lost, you know.
Which you must get a lot of at this point.
Oh,
and we're going to get to the
crazy.
Successful part. But what I'm always interested in past guests, I had, you know, like a Snoop Dogg family, and I talked to Cordell Broadus, which is Snoop Dogg's son, and he was talking about manifestation, the same things. It's so interesting that all the successful people that I've spoken to, and even in my own journey, like just that will inside that I can't barely describe, it just comes, and it's like nothing is going to stop me from getting there. I will get there. It's like this determination also. There's just this like revelation, and I had a life coach to the stars on too, called Tim Story, and he was like, life is a discovery process. So you can manifest that you're going to be there, see yourself there, but then it's also the one day at a time, because you can't plan exactly how you're going to get there. You just put that energy out, like you said, into the universe. And watch as things change and unfold. So that's super cool. So you're now at ICA. So let's go back to ICA. So the grocery store. And then you're having all of these thoughts and you're thinking, man, I need to change something here. Then what happens?
So yeah, I research online. I start finding this information about law of attraction. I start learning about how the universe works, which I actually knew a little bit about before, because I was actually quite interested in the quantum world of how the universe, the fabric of the universe, you know, like it's all a hologram. It doesn't actually exist. It's just a place that exists in our mind. Actually, reality is nothing more than just energy, just like just our thoughts, just like our words, just like our bodies. Everything is just energy, and it's so the universe is built up by just strings of vibrating energy. And so the law of attraction that I learned about then taught me how what you vibrate with and what energy you have inside of you, you will attract more of.
So your level of vibrations.
Well, like basically, because vibrations, it's just like you have low vibrations and high vibrations and everything in between.
Or frequencies, we could call them.
Frequencies, yeah. Let's say frequencies.
Higher, lower frequencies.
Exactly.
And when you're vibrating on a higher frequency, you attract that amazingness, we'll call it, to your life, right?
Yeah, so so that's what I started to realize. And of course, it's tough to say, vibrate at a high frequency. Like, I don't think people would like necessarily understand that. But what is very easy to understand is that, for example, let's take a car as an example. Like, take my Bugatti as an example, because it's like a good example. The car, it's actually just energy. It's just vibrations. It's just a frequency. It has a frequency just like we have, and all objects, everything has its own frequency and its own energy field. And it's just, you know, it's not even there. Like the Bugatti, it doesn't really actually exist in any like solid material form. And when you think about it in this way, then you understand how easy it is to manifest something like this, because it's just energy, just like my thoughts. So if I imagine that I have a Bugatti, if I really vividly imagine in my mind, more than just daydreaming, like really like living the
Feel
moment.
it.
Yeah, feel it, touch it, smell it. Imagining driving around, seeing people's reactions, or like making my parents proud. Like show. If you really go deep into that moment, this imaginary moment, but then sometimes you can really feel how real it can feel when you do it like this, because your mind and your subconscious can actually not tell difference between reality and just this daydreaming, because it's just electrical signals anyways. Like even if I touch this bottle, it feels like I'm touching something, but in my brain it's just electrical signals, and you can simulate this very easily by just imagining that I touched the bottle. And a great way of doing a test is like, sure, you can eat a lemon, and then your brain will like,
Sour.
but sometimes if you're just imagining taking a bite out of a
Start to
lemon,
salivate.
then you feel the mouth, and because your brain and your subconscious will think it's true, if you really vividly imagine it. And
I'm gonna think about this next time I see you in a Bugatti in one of your videos. No, it's so cool. I love this kind of talk, because I really believe that in order to show people how to get to where certain successful people are, you need to understand the mentality behind it. And it's important that you talk about the energy and the frequency, even though this feels like voodoo magic to some people. It's not. I also believe in energies and the frequencies, but it's good that we break it down so people understand, okay, this is how it works. But it's kind of like a dream. Sometimes you wake up and you feel like you're still in that same reality. So I think that's kind of like...
Yeah, so this is what someone has to do. Just really visualize and imagine. That's what should be done, and not only one time, but what I did is like every single day. Even,
like an exercise.
Yeah, every single day. You don't have to do it like, it doesn't have to be like a long time. I think the maximum I ever do is like maybe 2-3 minutes per day. I don't go too crazy.
And what do you visualize at this point in your life?
I mean, now, of course, it's a little bit different than back then. In the very beginning, I was really visualizing me flying on private jets, me flying around the world.
And you were doing
free.
this while you were working at ICA?
Yeah. Actually, I think maybe I have my... I can, maybe after the set, I'll find because I have my old iPhone 4 that I had when I was working in ICA. And I changed the background image to a private jet, like a point of view,
That's super cool.
I will see if I can find it. And now it's true, like I've chartered so many jets. I didn't buy one yet. Is
it on your list?
Yeah, definitely. But everything has its time. But the act of flying private jets, it's a very cool experience, and I always wanted that, and now I have it. And actually, the private jet story, I think, is a very good story, because it really is a very good example of the law of attraction, how it worked for me. And it's a good way that I can teach people, because it's a fun way. So first of all, I changed my background image.
Step one.
Yeah, many people do that, but I really did it. And not only changed, I changed it to a point of view, like as if I was the one sitting, drinking a coffee, like looking out the window.
Wow, so you put a lot of attention to detail in this.
So then
You're in the jet.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So that's one thing. But then another thing which I did, which is almost like not only visualizing, but actually practicing the law of attraction. I don't know how to call it, but this is just something that I do myself. So back then I was in the grocery store, and I took my phone and I went to the app store and I downloaded some jet rental apps, like jet charter apps and even jet broker apps, and I downloaded them, and I even put a folder. I called it something like jet travel, I don't know. And then sometimes I just clicked on the app and I went and I checked if there are any flights going, of course, like crazy, like $30,000 $50,000, you know.
For a
while,
short ride, yeah.
Yeah, while I was making like maybe $1,500 a month. But instead of thinking, wow, so much money, I was thinking, okay, yeah. I'm not sure about this
so
one.
you were
maybe that
able
one.
to kind of like, because many people making that salary, which are, you know, many people around the world, they can't get past it. They're like, I'll never afford this. And they get stuck in that thought.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how they start to come out of it.
Exactly. So I realized that to change my life, I have to change who I am. I have to change my thoughts, my being, my everything, you know. The reason why...
It's not just things you do. It's your being. It's your core.
It's everything. It's like my reality has to change. Everything has to change, and it comes from inside. And the reason why rich people tend to get always more money, I think it's very clear. They feel rich. They are abundant. They feel abundant. They have this vibrating frequency, so they will attract more of that.
And could it also be that they don't consider it like... I think a lot of people think that to get mega wealthy or really rich is hard. Making money is hard.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the guests that I had was an ex-Formula 1 driver. He's a friend of mine, and he told me, you know what I did? I put the vibrations out there, same thing, like so many similar things across these, and I would go for the low-hanging fruits that were something that I was interested in. Like he said that once you get in the flow, it's not hard. Right? Can you expound upon that, or like maybe as part of your next step?
I think
thinking about money.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, everyone has to change their view of money, because I agree that many people think it's hard to make money because they think in terms of selling their time for money, which we do when we are working in, for example, a grocery store. I sell every hour, and every hour I get my salary, you know. And of course, scaling that up to millions or billions, it's impossible. Like
Right.
it's not gonna happen. Then I would need a very big pay raise, which doesn't happen in a grocery store. So you have to start thinking completely different about money, and instead of thinking from my little world up, I started thinking from top down instead, and I realized how much money is in the world. There is billions and billions and trillions, hundreds of trillions of dollars and money and wealth out there. And banks are printing it with a button, you know, like money is abundant. There is more money than enough to make money, you know.
Right.
And if I just get a small part of all that money, that could still be hundreds of millions, you know.
Right.
So thinking from that angle, well, there's a lot of money out there. I just had to figure out a way to just put the bucket and make sure that some money comes into to my bucket.
Yeah, like a little drip, right?
Yeah,
Just for
exactly.
you.
So that's how I kind of played with my mind a little bit, because
To get out of that sort of like just small space.
you, in a way, you kind of have to mind control yourself a little bit, you know.
It's an exercise,
Yeah,
and
because-
it's a daily one.
And actually, it's even like anti mind control, because we have been mind controlled by governments, by schools, even our parents, unwillingly. I mean, they kind of become agents of the Matrix in a way, because we all repeat the same lies.
And the same wheel, same kind of hamster wheel, which is, I think, like why a lot of people get into crypto in general, because they feel that. They feel tired of that. They want something different. They think differently. Like I also was bored by traditional finance, was really studying a lot about it. This is so boring. And when I found out about crypto, it was like, that was my world. And I felt home there, right? So I think that's like something common, that somebody starts to get that like thought, like there must be something better out there.
Yeah.
And a better life than this, like a more fulfilling circle of life. So let's go back to the steps. So you're in the app. You're like scrolling through sometimes, and you're seeing the flights for the prices, and then what?
Yeah. Even a couple of times, I even sent a message and I asked, "Hello, how much to go to south of France?" And he was like, "Oh, $15,000-$20,000," and I'm like, "Nice." But it was fun, you know. Like I had fun with it, and I knew that it's definitely possible, because if these apps exist, then there must be thousands of people ordering these flights, you know. So it's just my mindset has been wrong, and I have to just change that. I should think this is cheap.
Even a realtor told me lately, and I want to say this because I think this is like a common thought. She said, I have a hard time selling properties because I can't imagine who would want to spend this kind of money on this. And that's like the mentality of like closing yourself off to that abundancy is like also, right? Like not being able to envision that there is that wealth in the world. And
Exactly. So what people do wrong is that they focus on problems and limitations rather than the opportunities. You know, instead of thinking like that, she should have thought, I mean, there are 40 million millionaires in the world,
Wow.
approximately. That's 40 million millionaires. That's a lot. And there's 2.5 thousand billionaires officially,
Wow.
but there are even more unofficially because most of them are not on the list, by the way. So many people with insane amounts of wealth, you know. So she should have thought about that instead. How do I reach these people? Because they're
Right.
clearly out there. 40 million. I mean,
Yeah.
that's 4 times bigger than Sweden.
That's just mind blowing.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
insane.
Yeah.
So yeah, people just have to change. Stop thinking from their little box
Yeah.
and look from top down instead, because then you kind of see the world in a better way. You know,
Right. Yeah.
it's very usually also people with anxiety. It's also usually because I suffer a lot from anxiety since many years myself, and it comes from seeing the small things only instead of looking top thing. You know,
Myopic, like being
Yeah.
very zoomed in.
if you have 10 things going on and 9 are good things and 1 is bad, then you get so much anxiety for this one little thing. You look at that and you
Perfectionism.
yeah,
as well,
exactly.
yeah.
People should just like it's hard, but sometimes you have to just take a bigger step
Zoom out.
back. Zoom out, yeah.
Yeah,
which is
and
not
you,
easy.
you did say that you have ADHD, and there's a lot of people with that in the world. I think it's a massive hindrance. I know Daniel Ek has it, the founder of Spotify,
yeah.
and it seems to be like there are a lot of brilliant people with ADHD who I heard that actually if you do have ADHD and you find something you really love, that you are able to focus really hard on it. I don't know if that's true, but it
It's
doesn't
very
seem
true.
to be a hindrance for somebody who, like you, has found their calling.
Exactly.
It's a gift in a way in
Yeah.
certain areas, right? I mean,
Yeah, ADHD, I usually try to explain it in a way where it's hard to get things going usually. With ADHD, it's hard to, start. But when you start something, if you have passion for it, especially,
Yeah.
then it's like, imagine a big wheel that you're trying to turn. In the beginning, it's hard. But if you get it going, it becomes like a turbine. It just goes like, thousands of RPMs. It's crazy.
right.
So definitely it's an asset if you use it in the correct way. So I've been focusing, I guess, my ADHD and energy on just like building my companies and building my social media.
Right.
I also do a lot of music, which is secret coming up soon.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, let's see.
So this is kind of like your medicine, right? Like
Exactly,
yeah,
yeah.
music is amazing for that.
Yeah.
So then you're scrolling through these apps, you're sending messages, and at what point do you discover crypto in all this?
So when I learned about the law of attraction and when I applied it, when I made the decision, I actually had no clue that Bitcoin existed. So this was way before crypto. I think I learned about crypto maybe 6-7 months later.
And what year was this?
2000, maybe 16, 17.
Sounds about right.
Something like this. And what I did was so before crypto, I made the decision I was going to be successful. I thought, okay, either I wait for something to happen or I take the first step, and I think that's important to like take the first step, because simply taking the first step is an act of energy as well. It's like an act of courage and belief in yourself.
Is that step 3? Because you told us step 2 was like downloading the app and like messaging, getting uncomfortable,
Yeah.
but like comfortable in your uncomfortableness. So step 3 is like taking action then, right?
Taking action, yeah, that is exactly. So it doesn't even have to be like I didn't even know what action to take. I just thought, let me just take a step in any direction instead of just doing nothing. And I just started to research a little bit about like how to make money online, how to do e-commerce, drop shipping. So I actually tried a couple.
That's kind of similar to my
Yeah.
journey. And also the traditional investing, like just going through it all. Like there's got to be different ways.
Yeah, I mean, learning is very important because you will learn things that maybe don't apply to you and something that do.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, but if you don't learn anything, then, so I just started to try a bunch of stuff. So I tried a little bit of drop shipping. I learned about that, Amazon, FBA, these kind of things, but it wasn't really for me. I didn't really feel passionate about it. So I think, people always say like, never give up, but if you do something that you actually don't really believe in, then what's wrong with giving up and trying something else?
Well, I would call it just pivoting, right? It's not
pivoting,
really
yeah.
giving up. It's just a part of your journey, like to discover what it is you love.
Exactly, yeah. I'm not sure if I want to say the word give up either, but like, but I tried dropshipping. I wasn't able to make it profitable, just slightly, like maybe break even, but it was just like but the biggest problem was that I just didn't really feel
Didn't
passionate
like it.
about it.
Yeah,
I
you
didn't
gotta
like
do
it.
what you love.
Yeah, I didn't want to sell these random products from China to US or whatever it was.
There's just nothing behind that.
Yeah.
Like for me, I also had the same thought about that and other things. It's like you have to do what you're passionate about. And when you find something that you really love, it's like it just takes off on its own.
Yeah, exactly. So, but the thing that is very important now to remember is that the fact that I started the dropshipping business, it actually led me to the next business, which was the crypto stuff. So parallel with the dropshipping, I was also researching Bitcoin and crypto because it kind of came into the same research of how to make money.
Right.
Like it's kind of inevitable that Bitcoin shows up somewhere. And then when I gave up on the dropshipping stuff, I think I had like maybe 2 weeks where I was like, oh, I'm back to square one. Like, what am I supposed to do now? Like, should I just give up? Maybe I should just like focus on getting a pay raise in the grocery store instead. But those thoughts are very dangerous, and you should never allow them to like absorb your mind.
Right.
And after some time there,
That would essentially be maybe the giving up part.
Yeah, that would be giving up. Yeah, and that's definitely not good. Because the act of giving up is also a very big energetic move, and it impacts everything. But so what I did was I had the idea of dropshipping, which I failed, and I learned about crypto, and actually many years prior, I made a little bit of music videos online. I was playing guitar on YouTube, so I had a little bit of basic understanding of YouTube. So then I kind of put three things together. I was thinking, let me dropship some Bitcoin merch, like Bitcoin T-shirts, on a YouTube channel where I can drive traffic, and hopefully make money. And that's how the idea came. That was my first idea with the YouTube channel, like educate people. So I started making videos about Bitcoin, how like educating people about Bitcoin, the financial system, and about monetary system and everything. And the funny thing is that after like 4 or 5 months of making videos, I completely forgot about the whole dropshipping idea and making money. I made zero money the first like 6-7 months because I had so much fun making the videos. I enjoyed it so much.
Just absorbed you,
Yeah, it was so much fun. I really loved it. Like every day I made videos. I ran home from the grocery store, made a video, talked about Bitcoin, crypto, Ethereum, whatever. Just educating people because I was learning so much myself about crypto. So I was eager to teach people. And this is actually a good point. You learn a lot by teaching, because when you teach, you push yourself to learn a lot, because you have to teach correctly.
Because sometimes you might skip some steps and not understand exactly why you're there, but then when you have to re-explain it to someone.
And if I'm going to explain Bitcoin to someone, I have to know what I'm talking about. Otherwise, it's going to sound weird.
Yeah.
If I say it's 23 million Bitcoin out there, no, it's 21. Like I have to know the facts.
Yeah.
So teaching actually pushes you to learn, and that's why this was like the best business idea, because I had so much fun. I was learning, and eventually I started to turn on ads. I started to do trading, investments, and like everything from there on started to really kind of exponentially grow. And after maybe 2-3 years, I was making very good money, like mind-blowing money for someone in a grocery store.
Right, and so you at some point decided to go all in. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you were making grocery store salary, and so a lot of that, or most of that, you were putting directly into crypto.
All of it, yeah.
Yeah. And you were young, and many, you could take that risk, I suppose, at that age, and finding out what you're doing. A lot of people ask me when they want to learn, how much is enough? How much is enough to change my life or to do something meaningful? And it's like, that's different for every person. But when you get in these kind of atmospheres, when things are down and nobody's talking about it, and you're learning and you're just doing it, not during the hype when everybody and your mom is calling you like, hey, what's up with Bitcoin? It's generally, pretty good time for people to start learning. Right?
Yeah, definitely. So
to put it that way. So you went pretty much all in at that point. You were like, this is my thing. I'm gonna do this, and I'm in. Yeah,
I put all of my grocery store money in Bitcoin. That's for sure.
Then, if you think about it, all of your grocery store, it didn't take that big of an amount to get you to where you are.
Well, so It's not true because some people think that I made my money from putting my grocery store money into Bitcoin, but this is not true.
So let's talk about that because I think people they want to know how you got to be.
Okay, so because in the grocery store maybe I don't know how much I made in total there, but we're talking maybe I don't know, a few tens of thousands maximum, maybe 20,000, something like this.
So let's explain then the jump from there to how you got to the.
Yeah. Because I worked there 3 years and I made $1,500 a month, so people can make their own math there. but then I had expenses and things as well, so I couldn't put every dollar, but everything I didn't use for food and other things, I put into Bitcoin.
Right.
But what I made money from was actually my business.
Okay.
I generated cash flow. So in the very, very early stages, I took my little bit of grocery store money and started trading, learning about trading. I started to make small investments in altcoins and just
the low cap gems.
Yeah, just like trading,
Yeah.
And I made a little bit of money from that, but not nearly enough to fly private jets. But what really made a big break was because I was using exchanges, like Bybit, for example. I was trading myself there.
Mm-hmm.
So one day I just took a referral link from the website and I put it on my video and I told people, yeah, by the way, like if you also want to trade where I'm trading, it's Bybit. And then boom, like from one day to the other, like
really.
I started.
So what kind of views were you getting on your videos when this boom happened? I mean, it's
not much. I would say maybe 6,000-7,000 views per.
It's so interesting because
video,
I've heard this story from somebody else, not to at your extent, but the same kind of story. Like actually, no, I got good revenue from referring good partners and like teaching people in the process.
If you choose the right partners and if you have the right content, and my content was perfect for that because I was starting doing a lot of trading in my videos.
Okay.
And then everyone wants to know, where can I trade?
Yeah.
Where are you trading, Carl? And I told them, well, I'm trading here, and here's a link if you want to use it. It's up to them. Like they can.
But you started with the little amount that you had from the grocery store, and you started to grow your empire. Mm-hmm. That's where this came from.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And then from pushing traffic to exchanges, I made very, very good money, and that was the actual capital that I later used to invest into all of those 400 startups that I've invested in, many different companies. It's token investments and equity deals.
Yeah.
And that's how I really accelerate everything. So.
Or that's how you reached where you are today, which you're actually, by American standards, a billionaire, correct?
Well, people say different net worths. It's up and down. I wouldn't put it
all right, we'll leave it out there. But that's been the talk on the town. I mean, you've done really well. And the point here is that you got there step by step and by reinvesting, because that's what I always tell people. Start with the amount you can. And in the bull market, then you have your profits, right? And you keep going and you roll that over and you invest it into a business like you do, or something that you're passionate about, right? Like, so that's truly amazing that you were able to do that. And now you're investing. I saw one of your tweets the other day that, while people are complaining or they're upset that things are down, you're out there on the ground making moves and investing right now, which is really cool.
Right now you find very good deals on
that's
companies.
what Warren Buffett would say, right? Like, it's the same principle, only we're in a different world now. We're in Web3 and crypto.
Yeah. The only problem is most of my net worth is crypto, so I don't have so much firepower. If I had bigger real estate investments, I would have actually sold them now and bought a bunch of crypto companies.
Right.
But I still have a lot of Bitcoin that I had from that I've been accumulating, and I'm using the Bitcoin to accumulate smaller cryptos.
Right, so you're rolling your Bitcoin profits into altcoins.
Exactly, because Bitcoin has gone down quite a lot, but altcoins have gone down way more.
Exponentially, and I think people see that and they're like, oh my god, they're all going to go to zero and it's over. Yeah. And maybe some of them will, but
that's the perfect time to buy.
It's market cycles. It's like emotions. So you've also, in this, like something that I've also had to teach myself, and many people who start to get good at this do, is you have to master your emotions and have conviction in it.
Definitely. But yeah, so there is, of course, a flip side to these financial markets. Like, in the bull market, my net worth was actually crazy. Like, it was really going up to, like, mind-blowing numbers. And I thought I was the king of the world. And, like, I was getting really, like, euphoric. And
so it'd get to you, too. I mean, it's impossible to control those emotions at some point.
Yeah. I had even advisors that came to me and told me to do different things. Like, you should take profits here. You should do this and do that. And I was like, nah, like, look at me. Like, I can do this myself. I made all this money. Like, the ego was getting very big. And I had to eat that because way more than 80% of my net worth is gone from those high levels.
Right.
So way more, maybe even 90%, I would say.
But it's cool that you're saying that and that people hear that, because people just think that this is just all glitz and glam and nobody goes through those cycles, and everyone who gets to this level is perfect. No, and that's, my strategy is not to time the market either. Although I had a similar experience. My dad is an accountant, so a CPA, and he told me, hey, take this and you put it into some bonds and all this stuff that I didn't want to hear about, like that's so boring, get out of here. But yeah, it happens to the best of us, right? Like you.
Yeah, so I got carried away and I made a lot of money, but I lost most of it, I would say. Like at the very top of the bull market, I had so much money that it was just like stupid money. Like usually it takes decades for entrepreneurs to build a company with like tens of thousands of employees, and then they sell this company and then they liquidate and then they get that money.
Right.
I made it in like 2 years. Like,
wow.
It's just mind blowing.
What were you feeling at that moment? Like
I don't know, so many different things. I mean, I bought my Bugatti, of course. Like I was like, yeah, let's buy Bugatti.
That's amazing.
I could have bought like dozens, hundreds maybe. Like, it was just like stupid, What
did your family think and your friends? I mean, what were their reactions to this?
My family was very surprised, obviously, because I came from a grocery store, and like 3-4 years later, I was.
They must have been inspired, right? I mean.
My parents. Very proud, I would say, because just a few years later they were the opposite of proud, whatever that is. What if there's a word for that? I don't know. Disappointed. So that was the biggest shift I would say, because in 3 years.
You mean a few years prior they were disappointed?
Yeah, like 5 years prior to those crazy times.
Because the path that you were on in life, and so you really turned things around for yourself.
I think they were disappointed up until the point where I quit my grocery store job.
They saw that then you were really willing to risk it all in yourself, believe in yourself.
Because when I quit my grocery store job, funny thing, I actually was already making like thousands of dollars online.
Okay.
I was just stuck in my comfort zone, and I told my mom, like, I quit my job. And first she was like, what are you doing? Like, I was so happy you had this grocery store job. Like, what are you gonna do? Right. She thinks I'm gonna be homeless or something,
Yeah.
But I told her, it's okay.
It's okay, I'll live with you, Mom.
No, but I told her, look at this. Like online, I'm making like thousands of dollars. I can pay my bills. I can support myself. Like it's all fine. And when I said this to her, she was actually, okay. Then it's fine. She's easy to convince if it's like facts on the table. Right. And she saw the money coming in, and she was like, okay, then perfect, then fine.
The money comes in and people start to believe it more. But when they should believe it is when they don't see the money yet. Yeah. That's the problem, right?
My mom always says that because she always told me, Carl, you need a real job, Because when I was in the grocery store and I was sitting on my computer sometimes, both my parents were always like, oh, what are you doing? Like, turn off your computer, like do something, go get your grades together again, or like work up your grades, or go to the grocery store, like. You need a real job. That's like what they always were saying. You need a real job. But when I showed them that I was making money from online, my mom says today, she says, well, she realized that it is a real job. If you're making money, even if it's like magic internet money online somehow, it is a real job, because
maybe this is the new real job, and they're stuck in the matrix, or the not real job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she had to just change her understanding of like what is a job, and she started to realize that okay, that is a job.
Or also of what is money. And this is why one of the things that I do like to talk about is money, because a lot of people say, no, don't talk about investing in crypto. No, we're in this for the tech and for the community, which it is a big part. And it's like the things you discover along the way, the beautiful things of this world. But everybody wants financial freedom. Everybody wants to be able to feel like they're free of those restraints of real jobs, right? Or maybe not everybody, I should say, but that financial freedom that makes them feel like they can do whatever they want and dedicate themselves. They can do that. Like, that's possible. It's possible to have that freedom. So I think it's important to talk about money, because in the U.S., I mean, in a general sense, we can talk about money, and I think it's inspiring. But in Europe, and particularly Sweden, people don't like to talk about money so much, right? I mean, it's taboo.
Yeah, in Sweden, it's, even since very young age, I I actually always had this dream of being rich. You know, like I always wanted.
That's
that.
not typical Swedish.
It's very untypical Swedish, yeah. So we had a couple of trips with my family when we went to the south of France. You know, normal family holiday. For like, you know, Swedish people do that, either Thailand or France. And what instead of like doing the normal stuff, I was always like, let's go to the harbor, let's look at the big boats, let's look at the yachts, you know.
You were inspired by
Yeah, because I always wanted to see them, and I looked up, I tried to look over there, like, who is this, like, who is on the boat, you know. And I was just like, wow, this guy, like, how did he make this money, like, how is it possible, like. And I was like, you know, very dreamy about like having a boat and being wealthy, and when we took a car over to Monaco, it made me so inspired. I think Monaco and the south of France has a big impact on me, because for me that was like the vision of like the wealthy people, you know.
the luxury.
Yeah, and that was way back, like I don't know, 15.
So you
like,
started manifesting before you even knew what that was.
maybe. I mean, at least I was. I knew that I wanted that. You know,
Right.
like I wanted to be rich. I wanted to be wealthy, and I wanted to like have a cool dream life. I didn't want to sit in a cashier in a grocery store. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And but that.
So you made those moves. You did this. You created this life, and now you're investing. To fast forward to where we are today, you're investing in all kind of crypto startups. And I know we discussed right before this that it's really hard to talk about projects or you go into depth, because there are so many scams out there. And I myself often don't even get involved or don't talk about things. There's few projects that I'm an advisor to that inspire me. Like one that I just did in Marrakesh in Morocco. It's called Tomi. And it's the decentralized internet structure. So they're building a whole alternative internet structure that's decentralized. Like those kind of things that inspire me, I'll talk about it because there's a real team and a force behind them. But otherwise, it's hard to guide people through new projects, right? So how do you make that filter when you're investing in new stuff?
Well, I invest, but I rarely talk about my investments online for two reasons. First of all, it's impossible for me to talk about 400. It would take up
400.
yeah, it's
That's
way too much.
amazing.
It's impossible. So usually I choose the ones that I really believe in, the ones that I invest a lot in, where I sometimes if I invest a lot, like millions, I also make sure to go in slightly operational, so that or not really operational myself, but like I look into the operations, and I try to advise and help on how to, you know, do things differently, and advising, but on a big level, you know, using my team and coming in and really like, because I have a legal team, I have a finance team, I have a media team, social media, like I have so many teams, and I can really go in and help out. And I do that because I want to help out, but more importantly, to protect my investment, of course. If I invest, let's say, 2 million into a company, I want to make sure that 2 million becomes 20 million or 200 million.
You want to make sure that it is what they say it is, and that they're working. I know Cordell Brothers, he says, yeah, I'll call you at 6 a.m. I'm making sure that you're on your game because the stakes are high. You know, we want to perform. We want to build the next big thing that makes things better in the world too. Like, that's so cool.
Yeah, so I have different forms of involvement. Either I'm investing a lot and then I get quite involved. Or I invest smaller tickets like $50,000, $100,000, and then it's more like these small bets where I just invest and then I forget about it, and then it's more like
set it and forget it approach.
Yeah, and then I have my team that we have a strategy. So for example, after a 5x return, then we take some profits. If it's a 10x, we take some profits, and we have like strategies.
So that's something that people who are watching could apply a similar concept to their portfolio, right? Like, I mean, take some profits. Profit taking is really important. Then you let it set. So you've got your whole system to where you're growing your wealth now in that way. That's really cool. And you're also helping the ecosystem and helping us grow as an industry.
Yeah, someone has to invest, right? So so I've deployed a lot of money into different startups, and in the bull market, it's easy to get money, but right now in the bear market, it's much harder. So now when I'm investing, like projects are way more appreciative. So because it's hard to raise.
Yeah, and so you say right now in a bear market, I actually believe we might be in the very beginnings of a bull. When do you think we're going to start to see the next full effects of the adoption coming in? And I believe that the next cycle is going to be one of the most explosive that we've had.
Well, I think we need to wait for the Bitcoin halving to take place, because as soon as the inflation rate cut in half again, then just like the previous halvings, we will see an increase in the price because the demand is going up all the time and the newly created supply is going down all the time, which is creating this massive explosive effect in the price of Bitcoin. So
and shortage on the market when everybody goes for it at once. Tim Draper is a billionaire investor. He's going to be on the podcast upcoming. He says that, just to put it into context for people, like, how is this possible? And he says that if 6% of the world's currency were to convert into crypto, into Bitcoin, the price in Bitcoin would be reflected at like around $250,000.
oh, that's conservative. So the
6%, yeah, and that's he's saying the start there, and that could happen
the
by the
world
end of
money
2024.
supply is $100 trillion, and if let's say half of that goes into Bitcoin, which I think is very possible because Bitcoin is a better form of money than fiat, then Bitcoin could go to actually millions of dollars per Bitcoin, between $2 to $5 million. $2
to $5 million.
Yeah, I think $5 million per Bitcoin is a very possible target.
By when do you think that could happen?
That could take a long time. It could even take 2 decades.
Yeah.
I think fair value for Bitcoin is somewhere between $3 to $5 million worth of per Bitcoin. That's like where it's supposed to be. But the interesting thing is that nothing ever goes to its fair value and just sticks there. There's going to be a time where Bitcoin is overvalued.
Right.
Like massively overvalued. So that could take Bitcoin up to something like maybe $10 million, even crazier than that, where Bitcoin absorbs like a black hole all the value in not only money, but also in real estate, all the stocks, even Picasso paintings, like things where people right now use these assets to store wealth because they don't want to store it in fiat because they lose money from that. They lose purchasing power. Yeah. So many people, they buy things not because they like them, but because they have to. Some people buy Picasso paintings not because they actually like the painting.
They need to move their
They
money.
need to put it somewhere where it's like safe. You know?
They could put it into a CryptoPunk. Right?
Yeah, CryptoPunk is possible. Or
the new Mona Lisa of the digital age. Yeah.
Exactly. And so if you think about it, these people buying real estate and art and these stocks only for preserving wealth, if they had an option which was even safer and easier to transact, easier to liquidate, to divide, and cheaper to send and store, would they change to that? Would they at least put some of their value into that? The answer is most likely yes.
Small.
Even if it's just something, yeah.
It's better, faster, stronger finance.
We're talking about not only then $100 trillion, we're talking hundreds of trillions of dollars worth of value out there that is the potential market for Bitcoin. So 5 million, I think it could be quite easy. I think up to like 10 million, even higher, is possible. But at that point, it's actually worth it to sell most of your Bitcoin and start buying other things like real estate and buy stocks and
diversify a little bit.
Buy whatever you can.
And where do you see altcoins in this whole scenario of building your portfolio?
That's harder to predict. It's very tough, because same with going back into the internet era, you could make the prediction internet will be the next big thing. It's going to take over the world. Yes, obvious to some people. But which companies? That's much tougher.
Right. They're like softwares or companies. Yeah.
Back then you couldn't possibly predict that Microsoft and Apple and Facebook, like, because there were always so many competitors. I mean, I could have put all my money in MySpace. It's gone.
And it's all gone. Yeah.
So I try to not predict too much on the altcoins because let's see what happens. That's why I invest in 400, by the way, because there is going to be a couple of Microsofts there. I'm sure.
You're looking for the next Microsoft, Apple, absolutely. Yeah. And so to wrap this up, it's been super interesting. You heard it here first, $2 to $5 million Bitcoin possible. But what I like about how you break it down is you explain why. Like sometimes people hear this and they're like, just another scammer on YouTube, just some more clickbait. But it's possible and it is there, and people can't conceive that because they don't understand the flow of money, how much money is out there, and what has to happen to make it possible. So as we wrap this up, what are you working on now? What are your next most upcoming goals in your career? I know you had a documentary on you recently. Is that about your life story, and when is that coming out?
If you think if it's about the Swedish one, then they just asked me a little bit about Bitcoin, crypto, and about my success story. Because They wanted to make a documentary about crypto, actually,
Right.
but they thought it's going to be so boring that they need like a main character, a human, to kind of follow to make it more interesting.
Cool.
So they chose me.
Definitely a good choice with you. You make it very interesting for sure.
Thank you. Yeah.
And so your upcoming things that we can look for in your...
Well, one thing that I really am very proud of and happy to bring to people is cryptojobs.com. It's a crypto job board. The reason why I'm so happy about it is because it's really like the fundamentals of crypto, you know. Crypto is the future, and everyone is saying that always, but someone has to build the future. Someone has to be there, you know, on the front lines and build the companies and invest in the companies. And I'm one of those people, and I want to inspire more people to become part of that, you know, crypto army to really like, you know, build the future. On cryptojobs.com, companies can hire talent, and the talents can go and find companies with vacant jobs. Right now, there's a bunch of vacant jobs, by the way, because there's a lot of layoffs, and there's also good talents out there that got laid off, and now they're looking for a job. So on cryptojobs.com, I see a lot of people getting new jobs, and
it's kind of like a recruitment agency, but without the middleman. That people
exactly.
Can
It's a job board. So cryptojobs.com.
Cool.
There were a few other competitors out there that were just like really bad. So I thought I'm just gonna invest a lot into like a proper nice domain, cryptojobs.com.
Cool.
And then just put my team on making an amazing website. I think I started this like almost 2 years ago, and now it's online and fully functioning. And
that's cool.
Yeah,
you know, anybody wanting to jump into this world, I mean, there you have it. You can start there. You know, when you're looking for a job or for career or calling or something, you know, start there with the communities, by following what you're doing, by watching this podcast. And you know what? Actually, I'm really happy to do this with you today because I have a big following from women. And it's nice for women to be able to see that women can do this too, that you're now involved in the women's community, and that's going to be huge too. It's just a barrier to entry because there's not a lot of education focused on, hey, you know, let's gear this up towards women and make them feel comfortable in this world as well. So
I think everyone should be included in crypto because crypto applies to really everyone. No matter where you come from, what gender, or like it's really because it's money, right? Money applies to everyone. Like the only person that money doesn't really apply to is maybe animals in the jungle. But like but humans, all humans, we need money to live our lives because the world we've been put into is governed by money, and it's not our choice. It is just how it is. It's what the governments have and the banks have put in place, you can like it or hate it, but you better play the game, and then you better learn about money. What is money? How to make money, and how to actually become free from money, because you can become free from it.
Absolutely.
But only by actually learning about it and making money. So the only people that really are controlled by money are poor people, because poor people, their freedom is limited, right? Because they can't afford even maybe to go to a restaurant, or they cannot afford to fly somewhere, or, you know, their freedom is limited.
So money is the means to the vehicle to freedom. Crypto is freedom. Crypto is human.
Physical freedom, yeah.
Yeah, and it's all of that, and crypto is human, and it's for everybody.
Yeah.
And it's just so cool. So, Carl, thanks. It's been really amazing going through your life's journey. I cannot wait for this episode to come out, and until next time.
Thank you so much. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.